This is probably the first time I'm recording a Roblox development project, but I assume it'll be pretty decent outcome. So if you want any more of this, please drop a like, subscribe, don't care. Mainly just the likes to make sure if you guys like the video. Alright, enjoy. To start out, I started making a grass pillar for the border of the Tycoon, so it would look just like aesthetically pleasing. I put it in like three separate like blocks and stuff as a kind of like descendant into like darker ground color, so it'd look aesthetically pleasing. When I really got my idea to make a tycoon, it was mainly when I finished the pillar. That was when I mainly got the idea to make a tycoon. Because mainly tycoons like put these just like multiply them for a border and stuff, and I thought it looked kind of nice, so I was originally gonna make this for a separate game I was working on, but then I had the idea to make a tycoon and make a video about it. So that's mainly what I was gonna do, and that's what I did do. So, yeah, that's how I got my idea for it. Pretty straightforward, I guess. I created a new base plate with the idea in mind that I was gonna make a tycoon. I obviously didn't know what theme of the tycoon I was gonna create, but I did know that I was gonna make one. I started by browsing my plugins. Then I wanted to get to work, so I started by making a spawn point. Well, and by coloring the base plate, but that's not really important right now. I made the base plate and I added the texture to it with a great plugin. I'll put a link in the description for the plugin I use for the texturing. But yeah, that's what I did for phase one. I just made a spawn point and just colored the base plate. I'm sure you can tell here I was browsing the toolbox. I didn't really know how to make a tycoon base because obviously I'm a noob at making games. So I just grabbed a random one and it was Deadpool. But I grabbed it, I tossed it in the corner. I didn't really mess with that till the end of the video, but yeah, that's what I did with the all the tycoon buildings. I got no idea what I was doing with the buildings. Right here is where I started making the fountain because I thought it'd be a pretty aesthetically pleasing spawn point for the player. It did take me a bit, and I did end up stealing a water particle effect from another fountain somebody made in Toolbox. But honestly, I feel pretty proud of it. All I really stole was the water effect, and then yeah, this is how I made the fountain in the middle. Okay, I do feel a little embarrassed about this, stealing the water effect, but honestly, it's not bad of what else I could have stolen. I could have stolen the entire fountain if I wanted, but honestly, I stuck with mine because I wanted to do this slightly legit because I didn't work on the Tycoon houses because I stole them. So I just worked on the most I could. Working on the fountain was the least I could do. So, yeah. Notice how when I put the effect into the head of the statue, it started going sideways. I didn't really like that too much. So, I came up with a good idea to decide to put it in a block after didn't figure out how to rotate it any which way. So I decided to take the effect out of it and put it in a brick and then rotate the brick so then the statue could look like it's spitting water out. I thought it was a pretty good idea. I thought I was cooking for a second, but honestly, it's kind of lame. But as you can see, I'm doing it right now. Yeah, you gotta make the brick small so it doesn't look like he's got a big nose or something and his nose water. But that's what I did here. I had to align it with the face, make sure it's coming out of the mouth. Here, I couldn't get it to go into the water without it moving from the mouth. So I made a little thing where it looks like it's pouring out onto the concrete and made a little water puddle. This is the part I realized I wasn't digging the square look to the spawn, so I pulled out a cylinder. I wanted to flip it over to where it looks like the circle part's facing up, and then I wanted to squish it down to make sure it's not a cylinder. I'm using the same strat I did with the puddle, and once I squish it down, I try to turn it into the new spawn instead of a stupid square, because I really wasn't digging the square look, but this is how that turned out. This is the point where I finish spawn. So I think this is the end of phase 1. Phase 2 is mainly going to be me testing a bunch, like testing the random Tycoon buildings I add, and adding the world border. So from here on out, it's going to be phase 2. Here is when I got the idea to make a little ocean beyond the border, because if there's any cracks or anything beyond it, then they will die in the ocean before they get to, like, feel successful. I copied a kill code from my Discord server, because I just keep codes in a channel, because too lazy to type them and remember them, so I just kind of copy and paste them. They're not stolen though. I did code them on my own. It's just I don't like retyping it. But the ocean is made mostly out of a plugin I'll link all the plugins I use in this video in the description of this YouTube video, so you'll be able to use them yourself when making a game. I highly recommend using them because they are a real time saver. But here is when I started making the border after the ocean. I just started copying pasting the same thing over and over again. I kind of got lazy at this point and just thought to do that. Right here, if you're wondering, I highlighted all of the pillars and then I pressed Control D and Control R to rotate them like that. It is a big time saver when making housing and stuff. It works a lot better with those because you have the measurements all planned out, but this was just a total disaster given how they were kind of like just going off into the distance and like just inside of each other. It was a real mess. But I went ahead and locked everything because I had a good idea for a little bit of depth. I copied the mountains, duplicated them, and expanded them, as you'll see in a second here. Once I resize them to suit the island, this is when I do that, and it adds a lot of depth to the game. And I suggest if you're doing something like this, I recommend doing it because it is a really, really, really good aesthetic to your game. That's the end of the second phase. I didn't test as much as I thought, but this is the phase where I'm going to start making the base game, where I'm going to add all the Tycoon housing and, well, phase 3. As I said from the start of this video, I really do not know how to make Tycoon housing. So I mainly just ripped out a bunch of stuff from the toolbox and then ran an antivirus just to make sure none of them had anything bad. But the first thing I did before that was organize them in a state that it would just look nice. I it does look bad because the two corners on the bottom don't have any Tycoon in them, but I've come up with a really good solution just to put the other one on the other side. There are 6 housing things, and that's what I'm gonna stick with till the end of this video. I noticed the Venom Tycoon house doesn't have a walkway, so I just kind of copied one from the other Tycoon and then just pasted it into the other, recoloring it to black and white, because that was the rest of the house color, so that's what I did. I'm gonna have to speed up the thing because as you noticed, I wanted the paths going to the middle. So I'm gonna speed up the footage because every path is 3 individual parts. The cylinders on the side and the main path in the middle. So I wanted to kind of take that to the middle to where the player can walk along it to get a straight path to the Tycoon house. So I'm gonna fast forward the footage right here. Now that the tycoons are finished, I go in to test the game. This is me testing it, but after this, I'll change the phase to just polishing phase. Alright. Here I just make the logo. of the game. I took a screenshot, but here's the polishing phase. Here, all I did is I started making signs so people could be able to tell which tycoon is which and what they're going into. This is what I do for right here, and then later I'll start working on polishing more of the game, like aesthetics and graphics and stuff. But right here I just add the names to all the tycoons, so I'm gonna speed this bit up. From the skip I did, at the start of it, I did go to a plugin and I did add one of its features, which was mainly just adding graphics, and it gave it this simulator feel, which I really liked, so I decided to keep it. The board I'm adding now is just, like, asking for my YouTube channel and naming it. I did remove this because this game is a bit late from when I'm editing it now because I got really lazy. But I was asking to subscribe and giving a link to my channel. I did get a warning from this from ROBLOX and I did get rid of it. So if you do decide to play the game, you will not be able to find this because it is removed. Here, all I did was add trees, which is the last thing I do, because I wanted to fill in the gaps something, so I just added the trees, but the trees is sadly the last thing I added. So if you like this video, if you like my channel, subscribe. If you want to get notified, then turn on notifications. Because that's the end of this video. You can watch this last little bit, but all it is it's gonna be an outro. This is the end of the video. Like I said, subscribe, I don't know. Alright, that's the end of this video. Peace.
Noise.